Is on the black-blue zombies list, playing against Lucien Klien on Bant Company.
One thing I like about Eric's list a lot, 3 main deck copies of Distended Mindbender. Plays super well with Prized Amalgam.
So he took this from Sam Black, and what he said, this was something that Sam played at the Pro Tour, is this deck is the only deck that he feels wholeheartedly beats Bant Company. He's not sure about its other matchups, but if he can play Bant all day, he said this was the list he wanted.
Yeah, you're really good at outvaluing them. I've been watching Hawkins on the floor. His deck is really good at generating value. Crypt Breaker here, I've seen him draw a ton of extra cards. He has Prized Amalgam, Haunted Dead synergies, which is exceptional against Kozilek's Return and Languish.
Yeah, so Eric starts on a Crypt Breaker. His mana not completely cooperating. He played a Choked Estuary, but then only had Sunken Hollow as a second land. But for Klien, he'll cooperate, just some tapped lands to start the game. And now Hawkins is going to start being off to the races. He'll swing a second time with Crypt Breaker, putting Klien down to 18.
For a 2-color deck, the mana base is a little embarrassing for the Zombies deck.
Hawkins playing a Jace, Vryn's Prodigy. No third land right now.
Really hoping to not have his Jace Reflector Maged. He really wants to find that land.
I say that's not going to happen. And here's Reflector Mage, sending Jace back to Hawkins' hand. A draw for Eric Hawkins. Looks like a Distended Mindbender.
It's the opposite of a land. The most expensive spell in the deck.
He'll pass. Things are looking rough for him. He's hoping to dodge something like Collected Company, and he will at least for one turn. It is a tap land for Lucien Klien as he'll swing with Reflector Mage. Lumbering Falls. 18 apiece, he'll pass. And Hawkins on end step is going to use Crypt Breaker to discard Kozilek's Return.
It's a spicy meatball.
That's not a black or a blue card.
No, and Eric is completely incapable of casting the front side, I do believe.
There are no red mana sources in his deck list.
And he has the Distended Mindbender in hand, just needs to set up something to emerge to it and enough lands to cast it from there.
So Hawkins does find his third mana source. He'll play a basic swamp and now play a Crypt Breaker. The Crypt Breakers are online. Well, they would be if Lucien Klien did not spell Queller there. So Queller takes the Crypt Breaker, and then Hawkins recasts that Jace, passes the turn.
I'm curious about quelling the Crypt Breaker, the redundant Crypt Breaker, when you know a Jace is on the way. It is the third zombie. So you're turning off Eric from drawing a card that turn.
But you're not thinking this game's not necessarily going to be fought on the cards in hand front?
Yeah, I'm more thinking that the Jace represents a lot of value here.
A swing for 4 from Klien puts Hawkins down to 14.
If Eric wants to commit to drawing cards with the zombies, he has to leave them outside of combat. The Jace is able to draw a card on its own.
And Klien's going to pass here. He had Declaration Stone and Reflector Mage at the ready, but instead opts to hold up mana, maybe hinting at something like Avacyn.
Another thing about Jace, it's a discard outlet that doesn't cost any mana. And if Eric's able to throw a bunch of Prized Amalgams in his graveyard, he can generate a ton of value that way.
So Hawkins will hit back with a zombie, Klien down to 16, and he will just pass. He played his 4th land that turn, and Klien just untaps, so his lands didn't do anything. I guess he's worried about the Kozilek's Return, isn't he?
Yeah, he doesn't want to overcommit into that. I'm sure by now he's seen a Distended Mindbender, and if you see the Kozilek's Return in the graveyard, you're of course going to be wary of something like that anyway.
Klien going to try to force the issue. Here is a swing with both creatures again. This will put Hawkins down to 10 if he takes it. He will loot with Jace. Madnessing, oh, this is nice. Voldaren Pariah, triple black to madness it into play.
And this is one more reason that I like going for the Jace with the Spell Queller. Voldaren Pariah with madness is something that he would need another land to be able to do with the Crypt Breaker.
And it's not even, this is good on so many fronts. It's not even the transform, it's just it's a 3/3 flyer.
Yeah, just entering combat at instant speed.
So here's a question. Eric paid 3 for the Pariah. Is Lucien Klien allowed to spell Queller it?
Still has a casting cost of 5. That's when you check converted mana cost, you're always checking the top right-hand corner of a card. The only thing that'll ever change that is an X on the stack.
And so yeah, that's going to go into play. And now Hawkins this is great because the 3/3 just naturally blocks Spell Queller. And yeah, he'll block the 2/3.
And Hawkins is asking Lucien, do you have a Dromoka's command? But if he does, Hawkins just sacrifices the 3 other creatures to the Pariah's ability.
So Queller dies. Hawkins gets back his Crypt Breaker. Takes 2, goes to 12. Ooh, I'm starting to see the whole I want to play against Bant Company all day thing.
Yeah.
Declaration in Stone is the play from Klien. It will hit both of Hawkins' Crypt Breakers. It would give him 2 clues. I guess he could go for a transform in response, or he could just let it happen.
He could go for a transform. Now Lucien only has the 1 creature in play, the Reflector Mage, so I kind of like just converting them into clues.
Oh, apologies here. Declaration Stone targeting the Pariah, not the Crypt Breakers.
Then I definitely like not transforming in response.
All right. Passes back to Hawkins. He's down on life points, but he sure has swung this game quickly. That Pariah was just... And remember, Hawkins didn't even pay a card for that. That was off a Jace discard.
Yes.
Gaia Reach Sanitarium, the play for Eric Hawkins.
One thing that's really interesting about this deck using Jace as a discard outlet, it generally doesn't want to flip Jace. And with Prized Amalgam, Haunted Dead, it's quite good at stopping it from ever having to flip the Jace.
An attack of 3. A zombie joins in with Crypt Breaker. Lucien will go down to 13. And once again, we just see Hawkins passing the turn. He's playing nearly all of his magic on Lucien's turns.
Yeah, and Collected Company is supposed to be the card that forces your opponent to be on their heels, and Hawkins' deck just doesn't care. It can play that same game. It can play that game better.
He has what? Crypt Breaker, Haunted Dead, Voldaren Pariah, Jace, Vryn's Prodigy. All of these cards can have abilities you can use at instant speed. Klien will continue to try to hit with the Reflector Mage. Jace will loot. He draws. Now I'll see if maybe another Pariah. Yeah, it is. Here's the 3/3 again. Now he's going to block Reflector Mage with it, and that's going to work too. These Pariahs are just for free eating all of Lucien's attacks.
And earlier we saw Lucien pass on a Collected Company because he does have to be respectful of this Kozilek's return, but Eric's just going to beat him on the table.
Yeah, this return's never going to happen.
This Zombies deck is incredible.
6 mana from Klien. Reflector Mage bouncing the Pariah. He's floating 3. And Hawkins may let that one work. I mean, I suppose he could chase it into play again a couple turns later. That was nice.
If you activate in response, you can make it so the card has a different name, though you're only eating Reflector Mage. It's really not a play you want to make.
So if he flipped it, then he could recast it as Pariah again. It's a different name.
Yeah, it would be.
Sure. You see on end step there, Hawkins uses a Crypt Breaker to make a zombie. He discards Prized Amalgam, which seems hardly fair.
Abolisher of Bloodlines. That's the backside of the card. There we go.
So I can't cast Abolisher of Bloodlines. Okay, got it.
You can never cast Abolisher of Bloodlines, and you certainly couldn't do it the turn after it was Reflector Maged.
Eric Hawkins, it will be the Dark Salvation. This is just... This card's so sweet here. All right. He makes 1 zombie, gives the Reflector Mage -3/-3. What I like about Dark Salvation is he could just have cast it for X = 0 there too if he wanted. Grasp of Darkness will take care of Lucien's last creature. Here's an attack. Well, one of those zombies can't swing, but the other ones can. That can be for 6.
What I like about Dark Salvation is that Dark Salvation gives target player the zombies and then checks the number of zombies they control. And you can actually end up in a situation, not in this matchup, where you want to give your opponent the zombies because they can get the number of zombies you need to kill something.
Oh, weird.
It's a really weird card. Eric has done it exactly once.
That's one of those things that if I were to do that, I would then
feel like the smartest person on the planet.
It's like your Xbox would pop up an achievement there for you right when you did it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, here's an achievement for Eric Hawkins. Start a tournament 7-0, and that's what he's going to do. The blue-black zombies player in 3 moves on.